Credit Union, your St. Louis
Hockey Fan Report. Aloha and mahalo for joining us on the Hockey Fan Report. Today it is Open Fan Friday. That's right. Today it's all about you. We're going to talk about your questions, your comments, what you got going on, what you thinking about the NHL, what you think about hockey. We are doing great. Well, if I knew you were having a show, I would have made more pulled pork. Well, thank you, Ryan Green. We try and do a show every day, Monday through Saturday. On off game days for the Blues, we try and do it at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. However, today I was a little bit behind. Hey, Clint, how you doing, buddy? Another one of my hockey warriors. Yeah, actually, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. I get to wear my red, and people actually like it. Chris Lambert saying hi. Today it's just me. Ashley Slapshot has got some papers to do, so I'm going to be here and we're going to talk. One of the things that I want to talk about is I've been working on an article. Believe it or not, I really got one almost ready to go, man. Almost ready to go. I'm doing good, Clint. I'm doing good. I to be honest, I'm missing all my Warrior friends, man. My time in St. Louis with you guys was amazing. Crappy. Oh, Shockley, I wish I could be with you, man. I wish I could have gone out with you when I was there. You know, I missed the Warriors. You know, the whole bunch of Warriors used to watch the show, and they don't watch it as much now. But I still love them, and I miss all of them. I wish I was there, man. I really do. And I know you guys got that showcase or the tournament coming up. As much as I want to be there, I don't think I can. The money's just not going to come around. But I'm hoping the best for you guys. Crappy days, crappie fishing turned into a good day bass fishing. Well, I wish I could go with you, bud. I wish I could, man. He's saying he likes it too. And next time I'm on days now. Well, you know, it's fun to have you guys on the show, each and every one of you. Oh, you know, Chris, I know, but we just had you on, and I didn't want to. I didn't know what your work schedule was, so I figured, I'm good for now. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is this article I'm working on, and it's kind of they tie in together. First of all, yesterday the St. Louis Blues, and not just the St. Louis Blues, I think the Avalanche, and also in the last couple of days of the Avalanche, and yesterday I also think Columbus had to had to use the e-bug, and it's been used a lot this season because of salary cap and the way the cap is set up. A lot of teams, when they made these contracts 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, had plans on the cap continue going up. But when the cap froze, now all these teams are up against the cap, or in the LTIR exception, where they're limited to what they can do. So one of the things to get this exception is you have to play a game, short a player, or use the e-bug. The e-bug is a good thing. The e-bug is an emergency backup goalie, right? Emergency backup goalie. I'm from a military background, so we love acronyms. So that, to me, it's an acronym. It's a lot easier to say e-bug than it is to say emergency backup goalie. The guy that the Blues used yesterday last played organized hockey in college in 1920. So it's been 2 years, and he was in a beer league, right? I mean, the guy's not playing any stipe, and this guy could have been out there. Well, let's kind of roll back a little bit. Let's roll back until I want to say it was 1920, right? It was 1920. It was before the pause. Toronto is playing Carolina in Toronto. Both of Carolina's goalies get hurt, and they have to bring in the E-Bug. They bring in a guy named David Ayers. David Ayers is basically a 40-year-old Zamboni driver who has some organized hockey experience. He hadn't had it for a while, but he'd also had some medical issues. Like I can't remember exactly. I'm trying to find it, but he had either a kidney transplant or something like that. Yeah, okay, 2020. Sorry. Get myself one of these. You guys are probably hearing something you weren't supposed to hear. But, well, he ended up winning the game, Clint, and he did get the first star. They scored 2 goals on him. So one of the things when the E-Bug comes in is guys don't take those slap shots. They don't take the really hard shots. They try and pressure more in front and things like that. And then Carolina really went into a complete cycle. Like they did everything they could to hold the puck to prevent Toronto from getting it. And Toronto's got some guys, trust me. Mitch Marner can shoot the puck. You know, we all know Austin Matthews can shoot the puck. They got guys that can really fire it. Yet, you know, they try not to. Okay, they know that this guy's not an NHL caliber goalie. However, think about this: if you're up there and you got this guy in net that's not, you know, up to par, you should be licking your chops. I'm getting me some goals, right? My fear is you're going to get a situation, you're going to get a tight game, you're going to get a power play, you're going to get a situation like happened in Game 6 of the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Blues in Dallas, where Colton Parayko or one of these guys with a big hard slap shot fires it in on one of these guys. Now, think about this, right? That slap shot that got fired on Ben Bishop, he went down like he was hit with a freaking sniper rifle. Bam! I mean, he went straight down. Yeah, they did, actually. Right? They did. It was a great moment. But it could have very easily not been a good moment. Okay? It could have very easily been a disdain or a bad mark, a black mark on the NHL. Right? Let's say this guy gets lit up for 7, 8, 9 goals. Or worse yet, he gets hurt, or has a medical issue while he's in net. Right? Just pulling, and a few years back, the Blues, I forget who it was. It might have been, it wasn't Husso. It was, it might have been Allen, right? Allen got sick or something, and they had to bring in Husso, but he wasn't going to get there in time. So their backup goalie was a vending machine guy, you know? Well, you know, until our goalie got there, he was the backup. If something would have happened, he goes in net. I think that the NHL needs to revisit this E-Bug. It's good to have an E-Bug. I think an E-Bug is very, very good, and I like having it, but I don't think it should be just a guy you pull off the street, right? I think it really needs to be a professional goalie, right? You know, a guy a career minor leaguer that couldn't get a job or something like that. You know, get a guy that has experience. Get a guy that you have, or better yet, make Team Perry a third goalie. That is your E-Bug, right? But he practices with the team. He works out with the team. Part of the team, he just doesn't play, right? Unless need be. Make it more of like but make it to where this is a guy that could pass an NHL physical. This is the thing with Ayers. I don't think Ayers could have passed an NHL physical, right? And that concerns me. And the other part of this, the part that goes along with this, is the COVID restrictions, right? This is what created that. Now, the NHL has said we're treating, Chris, they each building, each team or each building has to have a designated e-bug, but it's not necessarily a player. It's like the one that that Tampa pulled in, right? It was he was a college hockey player playing in the beer league. So my phone fell. Something fell, and I couldn't figure out what it was. It was not a great situation. And they deal with what they deal with, right? And I get it, but they can make it better. You know what? I'd have to go back and look at that, Chris. I don't remember. I mean, because it wasn't a big deal. E-bugs really haven't become. It's just in the last couple of years that they've been more and more prevalent in the game. Right now, right now, New York is in an e-bug situation. They don't have an e-bug in, but they have an e-bug on the bench because the New York's goalie got hurt, and they have their backup in. So now they have the e-bug sitting on the bench, right? Unless he goes in, no one will ever hear about it. But that's just kind of the situation right now, and the COVID is what's causing this, right? If you look at this, the NHL has said if a player gets COVID, it's no different than a player getting a cold. That's why we're not giving cap relief. Well, I disagree. If a player has a cold, they still can play. They have they have the opportunity to play. If you test positive for COVID, you do not have any opportunity to play. The NHL takes you out. Well, that's not the same. That's not the same. I'm not saying you should dispose of e-bugs. Absolutely not. All teams need that, especially now with you're going to have this because of COVID. You're going to have this more and more, and I'm concerned that one of these e-bugs is going to get seriously hurt. Right? You're putting these guys out there with you don't know what their these guys that you don't know what their physical attributes are, or their there's a lot of guys that play hockey that are not physically fit. Okay, Ayers was not physically fit, and you can look at him. He had a beer belly. He was 42 years old, right? He was not, and then it's. Maybe I'm making a big deal out of nothing, and I get that, but I do think the COVID issue is huge. I do think that the COVID issue needs to be relooked at, that players on COVID, they need to get some type of salary relief. Not all of it. I don't think it should be a full, but it should be a partial enough that guys can bring guys up. So you're not having, one of the things, if you can bring guys up, you don't have the issue where you've got to cancel games because you got 10, 15 guys on 10 guys on COVID. There's always that concern pertaining COVID or injury risk. I'm hoping Lindgren doesn't become a victim while Benner is out. No, lingering is not an e-bug. Okay, lingering is an NHL prospect. There's a big difference here. Lindgren, you know, we saw him play. He's been there. He's got the tools to be an NHL goalie. That's what I'm saying. That's not an e-bug situation, Chris. He's a backup. The thing with the reason that he's up instead of Husso is money, because the Blues couldn't afford to bring in, because of the cap, Husso. And that's the, you know, kind of the weird issue that's going on here with all of this. I think that it's getting kind of interesting. They're showing the Metropolitan standings: Capitals, Rangers, Hurricanes, 1, 2, 3. That's an interesting pick. You know, the Rangers are finally getting it up. Can we say that Scandella is a new? You know what, Ryan? I was just thinking that. I was thinking about writing an article called asking, is Scandella the new Sanford? I was just thinking that, and it's kind of going in the same way. But at the same time, right now, I don't think he can sit Sanford. Right? He's had this issue where I don't think he can sit Sanford. They're short guys. They're playing with 11 forward, not 12. They have 9 defensemen, actually. You know, they're playing with 7, 8, 9 defensemen. You have a situation where you have 2 defensemen that you can't put back. Oh my goodness. Oh no, look what we have here. Oh, she put herself in the stream.
Well, I'm on my phone, so it put me in automatically.
Oh, okay. How you doing, Ashley?
School's got me stressed, but I wasn't going to let you go all by yourself, so I popped on.
I'm doing okay. We got a couple people watching. They're interested in our topics. Ryan Green said, so Ryan asked the question, and I was thinking about this as an article. Is Scandella the new Sanford?
Absolutely.
Right? And that's I've been thinking that. And then he goes and he uses the exact same words. We ended the show on him last night. Sorry about that, Ryan. No, it's a possibility. And Clint's trying to get all his get our hockey warrior buddies back watching the show again. He's gonna him and Stockley are gonna do that for us.
Awesome.
Yeah, he called me buttons earlier. It wasn't a button thing. It was it's what's happening is I've been leaving all the gear on in here except the lights, and it's been getting too hot, and that's why my O-rings snapped.
Oh.
Right. So well, that's what I think they snapped. So I turned everything off, and when on my sound machine, when you turn it back on, you have to individually. It doesn't go back to its point.
Yeah.
Right, to where you turned it off. You have to go back and return everything on. So I had forgot to turn sound effects button on, sound effects back on, and that's what he was getting. That wasn't really a buttons thing. And then I came on the show 15 minutes late. I had some stuff I was doing and working on, but you know what? I've got a good article. I really
I was listening for a little bit, and then I liked the sound of the e-bug article. I was just gonna message in the chat, but then it wouldn't let me. For some reason, my phone's acting up. So I was like, okay, if I want to talk, I'll join.
Yeah, no, we love having you, Ashley. Great to have you. How's the papers going?
Well, I've got one down, but the last one is a argumentative essay, and it's a lot of research.
Argumentative essays are the tough one. I know you're in Composition 101. I've taken that course. I hated it. Actually, I didn't even write I passed it without writing the argumentative essay.
You see, now they make it so that is what you have to have done to pass. If you don't do the essay, you fail, even if you have a decent grade.
Yeah. So that's a really hard one, and that's usually like what is it, 5,000 words or something like that.
Yeah, but because I have gotten an A on every essay she's assigned, she cut it down to where I have to have 4 pages.
Okay. I write most of my articles, 1,000 words is 2 pages.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Yeah, that limits your, I've had them where they had to be 12 pages.
I'm not looking forward to that, but I think that's coming next semester.
Yeah, that writing class the 202 class. That is that's a very very tough class. Just imagine you're arguing with Guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll be
we
fine.
don't. No, and you know what? That's one of the things that I kind of talked to Ashley about a little bit yesterday. You know, with the show, we're going to talk a little more about our personal lives a little. You know, everybody kind of does that. They kind of start off with how's your day going and things like that. And why not? You know, we're letting you guys know, and I want you guys to be part of it. And Brad, yes, we're going to let you know the score tomorrow. We will absolutely do that.
Yes.
Right. Very, very early game. Jacob, welcome. Welcome, Jacob. How you doing? Very early game tomorrow. I'm actually excited about tomorrow's game.
I am too.
This is the best team in the league. They're number one. They're playing out of their gourds. They're winning despite the Blackhawks scandal that nailed them.
Yeah.
Right? And they're a team. They're a team. So now this is where you measure yourself. This is your measuring stick. Right? And it's not one game, it's two.
Mm-hmm.
Home and home. You know you have Bennington out. That's fine. That's fine. Because with Bennington out, you still played really, really well against Tampa.
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, it was just it wasn't the full game effort that they needed, but I think they realize that, and they're going to come out hungry tomorrow.
Yeah, I do too, and I also think that you're going to make a mistake in a game. It's going to happen, right? It's going to happen, and not only that, Barkov is out, so they're missing their number one scorer.
Yeah,
right. So they're ripe to be beat. They've given up. What was it? They were down, gave up 4 goals. They were down 4-1 twice in a row, and came back. Noon game tomorrow. Yeah. That's
I thought it was 3.
No, it's at noon, which is makes the show 11:30 a.m. for you, 7:30 a.m. for me.
I actually like it.
Oh, yeah. See, this is the way you guys get me back from the late games.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got one where I got to get up at, dark 30 to get set up, get the show ready, get it shared out, things like that. I enjoy doing this. I really do. I enjoy what it takes. And a lot of times there's we deal with personal issues in doing this job. Yeah. Right? When you have to talk like we talk, when you have to research like we research, all of that, there's times where you don't do things that you need to do to take care of yourself. And I'm guilty of that.
I am too, but eventually, like tonight, I felt so guilty about it that I was like, you know what? I'm at a stopping point. I'm going to hop on because I love doing this. This is so much fun.
Yeah, no, it is a lot of fun. And we've got good fans and we got solid fans.
Mm-hmm.
People like Ryan, making time out of his day to make sure he's on it. And Chris Lambert can't wait for the show. This is where he gets his news and he tags us all the time. ESPN has Florida at 180 favorites. Wow. So
I'm going to have to pop out I think my sound went out.
Okay. Well, I'm hearing you.
Okay.
Okay. She'll be right back. 180. Wow. If it's a close game, they'll be in the 120 to be like minus 120 favorites. If it's a straight, what do you call it? Blowout or one where they think it'll be in the 200. So that's close to it. They don't think the Blues have a chance. Looks like Winnipeg is up 5-4 on New Jersey. Let me go ahead and cover the scores real quick. The Rangers beat the Sharks 1-0. Winnipeg is up 5-4 on New Jersey. They were down 4-3, so they're coming back. Arizona and the Knights are scoreless with about 13, 14, a little bit less than 14 minutes to go in the first. And both Calgary and Anaheim will start. Calgary, Anaheim, and Edmonton, Seattle start later. And Edmonton and Calgary, along with I forget who the third team is. The Ducks are fighting for first in that division. I had to think there for a second.
Who would have thought the Ducks would be fighting for first?
Oh, I know. The Ducks are. When we did our previews, we looked at some of the stuff over there, and we just kind of felt that, I don't know what the resurgence is or why it's there, but it's there. And I think that some of the resurgence is the weakness of that division, that they're able to play a lot differently that allows that, right?
Yeah, I think that could be it too, because obviously the Golden Knights aren't playing what they used to play. And no one expected Seattle to be as weak, quite that weak, I should say.
Yeah. Well, I think the Golden Knights spoiled us, and now we're thinking that every expansion team is going to be like that. That's not the way they drafted, and they drafted. And I talked about this a couple of times. We actually have a Seattle guy that's going to come on with us, right, and talk about this a little bit, but. They drafted for 3 to 4 years now. They didn't draft for now, right? And I saw that. New Jersey's it's 6-4 now. Ooh, man, Winnipeg. Well, they're coming back. They're a strong team. Scheifele just rifled one. Did a power play goal? Yep, power play goal. Ryan Green's asking, let's see, Calgary 125, Edmonton 140. So both of those, see, those are closer games. Now, see, this is something I've been having on my mind, right? All the betting stuff. Now, look, I'm not a betting guy, and I honestly don't like the gambling stuff being brought to the forefront. I'm kind of worried that it's going to make the sport almost like, and have you ever seen the movie Rollerball?
Yeah.
Right?
I can see that, but then again, I'm not a gambler either, so I wouldn't want that.
But what it does is, I could see at some point there being there being the sports book at the game, like right there at the game.
Definitely not a Blackhawks. Sorry, Wendy.
Yeah, that's just because with Ashley on, the camera's not low enough. But no, I am not wearing a Blackhawk shirt. Right, not wearing a Blackhawk shirt.
Also not wearing a Blackhawk shirt.
I already got it back far enough as far as it'll go. Okay. I get concerned about that. You're going to see guys, before puck drop going, Perashenko to score the first goal, $100, $100, 100 to 1 or something like that. I'm concerned about that. Right. It's going that way. I wish they would roll back on some of this.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
I really do. I want to keep it like, if you want to have a show that's based on it, fine. But I don't like it. Now, ESPN, and actually I find ESPN unwatchable. It's all over ESPN. Like when they talk about it, there's the over under, the line, and by 2 goals, by 1 goal, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Oh yes, Marchand. I have him on my fantasy team. I needed that. Thank you, Chris. All right. If you see, and Chris says, if you see me in a hawk shirt, take me to the woodshed. I love it. Thank you guys. I love it. I'm concerned. I know there's guys out there that like the gambling. I really do. But I don't want it to turn into a rollerball. And I think it's going that way. Right?
I don't think that gambling really has a place in a sport like hockey or baseball or any of it, because I mean, that's how you get dirty players that will throw games, because if it's allowed for everybody else, it should be allowed for them too.
Yeah, no, it does happen. You get these guys that, you get these guys that have their issues or things like that. You're opening it up. You're opening it up to a possibility. Look, I thought when daily fantasy sports were just daily fantasy sports, that was one thing. To me, I like that. To me, well, first of all, betting on games is actually a skill. It is a skill, right? Let's not. Doesn't the over? No, it does not. It does not. The over under is how many points are scored, and so a lot of times you'll see an over under of a hockey game be 5.5. So a 3-2 game or a 4-1 game or something like that, and that's about what most games are. This year, I think the number's up. The standard number is like 6, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at 3-3 games, 4 games. You're seeing that number creep upwards a little bit. I have. Chris, you're right. The two biggest sports on gambling where it lies is baseball and football, and it's more on football, right? It's absolutely on football, and football. Oh my goodness! You can bet on football. You can bet on so much.
Actually, I would just say blue.
Oh, I know you're talking about the Nashville jerseys. Oh my God! Now I gotta admit, I like Tampa's. Right? Tampa went with just bolts. Right? The word bolts. Nashville went with Smashville, and they took the word smash and smashed it. Right? It looks like, if you look at it, they go, oh crap, we got 30 minutes to turn this in. What do we do? Oh, we'll just do this. And then they realized they forgot an S and had to put that other S in there. I seen somebody say that on Twitter or YouTube or Facebook. So it was really, well, MMA and boxing I can see. Okay, that those I see as more. I'm not. Yeah, it is ugly. I will admit. Now I like the Bolts one, but I don't like I don't like Nashville's. I think it should be Trashville. I seen someone said I fixed it and had the T with the R. Trashville instead of Smash. So, yeah, I kind of like that. Now, what I did like was the crest. The crest they have in there. I really like that crest in the center. I thought that was good. The one thing about Nashville that I do like about the team in a whole is their name. Right? I like teams that have a name that has connections. Right? And I thought someone made the sweater to go after Huso Smash. Their name, the Predators, comes from the fact that they found saber-toothed tiger skeletons in Nashville, in and around the Nashville area. So that's how they got the Predators name, right? And that's why they used the saber-toothed tiger. So that's a connection, the Blues, the connection to the area, the St. Louis Blues. When Atlanta was a team, the Atlanta Flames were named because the city of Atlanta was burned down. Now they're the Calgary Flames, right? And that more celebrates their cowboy oil heritage. Edmonton Oilers, that is an oil town up there, right? There's a few other ones. I think the Kings. The Kings are actually. There was a guy who at one point called himself the Emperor of the U.S. Lived in Sacramento or something like that, right? And people just allowed him to do it. They'd let him eat for free, and that he was, mental in that. And that's where the Kings comes from, in honor of that. And the Sacramento Kings, the basketball team, same thing. That connection to this guy calling himself the Emperor of the United States. I can't remember his name. You can look it up. Well, I don't. Well, actually, I'd like to see the Coyotes. The Coyotes are doing exactly what I thought they would. It just took them a while to get there. They are starting to play good despite everybody. Right? I really think that's what's starting to happen with them. They're really starting to play good.
Yeah, they sure are.
Well, actually, see, that's the yes and no. That's kind of the gray area with the Blackhawks, right? The Blackhawks are officially named after a military unit that was named after the Native American from that area. It's a gray area. I get it. I have an issue with the name. I'm starting to have an issue with that name a little bit. I didn't think I did at first, but the more I've thought about it, especially when, like I just did, they go, you get defensive. When you have to get defensive, oh, no, it's named after the military unit. Oh, hold on here. It's not, you can say it's named after the military unit. It's like calling something the Apache and saying it's named after the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
The Apache helicopter is named after the Apache Indians. It's the same thing. You can't sit there and say that, the name is the name. So, yeah. Chris, you're kind of right. You're kind of wrong. The gray area, but that's, what I do look at it that way, to be honest. Right?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. What's some other names that we can think of? Well, I'll tell you a name that I really love in baseball, and it's the Cardinals because of the way they got their name. Right? Do you know what the Cardinals' original name was?
No.
The Red Stockings. Right? They wore red. They were red leggings, red stockings, something like that. They wore this red style uniform, and this lady makes a comment that one of the newspaper guys here, she goes, "What a lovely shaped cardinal," right? The red, mm-hmm. And that he used that, and that became the name of the team. The Cardinals were from the color of their uniform, and the
That's
fact,
awesome.
but you think of in Missouri, the red cardinal is very, very prevalent, right? There, and I didn't know there were different colors of cardinals. I used to think that there was only the red cardinal. Here in Hawaii, there's a whole bunch of cardinals, and they're brown, they're orange. There's not a lot of red ones. So yeah, you get that same connection. Names of teams are important. I liked what Seattle did, right? I like what Seattle did. I like what the Vegas did in some way, connecting to their military history, because they have an Air Force base there, the Golden Knight parachute. They won't say that because then it's a name thing, but that it leans back to that. Yeah, the red stocking. Actually, here's something interesting for you, Chris, because I know Cincinnati Reds are the oldest professional baseball team in America. They were the first. They were actually the first. And a lot of teams use the name red stocking, white stocking, things like that. Right, Chris, you're right there. The owner was a West Point graduate. I do know that. And it was named after a World War I unit that he was part of. So I do know that. So Fighting Sioux of Grand Forks, North Dakota, we had to change the name because of the fighting. Yeah, I know that. I wish that it wasn't taken the way it's taken. And in some ways, I think names honor people,
Mm-hmm.
right? I look at ships, right? Like here in Hawaii, we have two USS Missouris, right? We
Uh-huh.
have the USS Missouri, the battleship from World War II and Korea and the Gulf War. And then we also have a submarine that's the USS Missouri. Well, I take great pride when I see one of those guys wearing that, the ball cap or a shirt from the Missouri. I take great pride in that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I take great pride and I always tell them, yeah, I'm from St. Louis. I follow that. This. I take huge pride in the fact that these ships are named after my state. When the Missouri was recommissioned in the mid '80s, my school, Cleveland NJROTC, sent a bunch of guys to the Missouri, and we were made honorary crew members of it. Right? I mean that was a real connection. I retired on the deck the fantail, the back deck of
Mm-hmm.
the Missouri. It was that important to me. I think if I don't want to get political, but names can honor if it's done right, right? Like I didn't have a problem with the Cleveland Indians, but they've changed their name now to the Guardians, and they actually had to pay a roller hockey or roller derby team for the name, right? Yeah, that was interesting. I don't know. And then you have the Washington football team. They took their name away. Yes, right. Yes, that's where I went. Cleveland NJRTC. That's what I was talking about, right? That's the school I was talking about, Chris. Yeah, that's a subject for another. What's happened to that school and that program breaks my heart, man. It absolutely breaks my heart.
Yeah. I remember your video.
Was a good. Say again.
I remember your video whenever you went back and saw the state it's in.
The so school sad. Itself. Yeah, and it's just the neighborhood and all of that. And but it's not that now the program is gone.
Mm-hmm.
This is the last year of the program.
Oh, wow.
The Navy's backed out. The Navy's not supporting it anymore. It's for whatever reason, I don't know, but well, the other thing was the thing about it when I went there, it was the second largest academy next to the Naval Academy, right? It was the only full-time unit in the United States. We were it, right? We were the only ones that wore our khaki uniforms every day and then our dress uniform. When we went to boot camp, because we went to boot camp, what they call mini boot camp, for a week in our freshman or sophomore years. When we went to boot camp, we went to boot camp. Everyone else, all the other schools had to get issued their khakis when they got to boot camp, turn them back in. We got to keep ours because wore them all the time, right? So it was very interesting how that all played out, and I'm very proud of that. When I went to the school, that I graduated from there, some of the people that you see on the show, right?
Yeah.
I graduated in 1987. I'm past my 35th anniversary. I'm coming up. No, actually, I'm coming up on 35. Right?
Yeah.
Coming up on 35. 22 will be my 35th. And you see guys that I went to school with come up on the chat. You'll see them in the chat. You'll see them on our group, on our page. I have a lot of these friends that follow me still that are people I went to high school with 35 years ago. That are closer to me than anybody else. So that it just gives you an idea of what that is. right? And what it
Absolutely.
means to me. And it's really, to be honest, it's where my love of hockey really in high school is when I mean, I loved the game before that, but in high
Mhm.
school, I started writing about it a little bit. I started using that for papers and things like
Mhm.
that. And eighth grade, ninth grade, in that period. So now I'm starting to develop this more understanding of the game, right?
Mhm.
So this is where I start getting my understanding of what the game is, how the game works, how things progress, how the more about the playoffs, more about um, cycle, more about the goalies and how what fighting was. You get that's your formative years. When you're 12, 13, 14, 15. But that's when you can be a fan when you're a little kid. When you're 5, 6, 7 years old, you don't
Mhm.
understand the game. You hit that teenage level. That's where you really, really start to understand that game. And that for me is what you know brought it in and really made it um, accessible. And going, being up in Chicago, listening to games on Chicago radio when I was there, and other things like that. It was just a really neat thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine, but my niece was just in Chicago. That's where she graduated from, but like her boot camp. But I thought she went to an ROTC school too, but I'm not sure. But that one was in Texas.
Oh no, there's other ROTCs, right? But
Mhm.
most ROTCs, JROTCs,
Mhm.
are part-time schools. They wear their uniform 1 day a week, right?
I think hers was a full time because she was always wearing her uniform.
It was always, but was everybody in the school part of the unit?
I think so, but I'll
Oh,
have to
that would have
ask
been,
her more. I
yeah.
might be able to
Well,
talk to her soon. I'm
yeah.
not sure.
Oh, I know in the '80s when I went that we were the
Mhm.
only one, right? I know that there were some other ones that opened up. Oh yes, come on, Pascal. Oh no, I don't have Pascal. I have Marchand. I need Marchand to get a.
You mean Marcia show?
Yeah, Marchand. So I always
Yeah, we
say
don't want
I need him to
Marchand
get me
to.
2 more goals. Then I have Graves on the New Jersey. He got me a goal, so that's good. I need another. I got Ryan Nudge at Hopkins tonight, so I need Nuge to get me a goal and an assist.
Mhm.
Right, I need a goal and an assist, and I could really use. Um, I'm dying in plus now. The guy's got. He's got everybody playing tonight. He's got all Calgary. Oh yeah, he's gonna tear me up tonight. It doesn't matter what happens.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm gonna lose. Well, with Bennington being out and not playing well, that was I was banking on that. So
Yeah. Who are your other goalies again?
let's see. Let me pull up my team here real quick. I have Brian Elliott, and Martin Jones, and then I have I also have I have Scott Wedgwood and Anton Forsberg from Ottawa. Forsberg got me a win yesterday, right? But I don't think he's going to start against Colorado, and I wouldn't. If he's playing Colorado, I'm not going to start him. Wedgwood doesn't play tomorrow. I know Elliott won't play against Boston, so I'll start him, but I know he won't play. I needed 2 starts. I was worried that I wouldn't get my 2 starts. I mean, yeah, and if Forsberg plays, I don't start him. Maybe I get lucky on Sunday and Jones will go Philly, but I don't see it. I
Bummer.
don't see it. So I have a whole bunch of minor leaguers. Forsberg and Wedgwood are my minor. They're still qualified. They won't anymore. They still qualify as minor leaguers. Wesley and I can't even say this other guy from Tampa Bay, but they're in the minor league, actually in the minor leagues.
Uh-huh.
So goalies, I'm not hurt because this is a keeper league,
Mhm.
right? So everybody that I have on now will be there later. It won't be that rough. I mean, I usually try and wake up around 6 anyway. It's just being on a Saturday. Sometimes I try and sleep in. Did you go to the Madhouse? Well, up in Chicago, I went for a Bulls game. I did. I went to here. Here you go. And I even told Wendy this. I don't think he's still here with us. I went to the last Blackhawks game at Chicago Stadium.
Oh, wow.
It was Game 7 of the first round, a 1-0 loss to Toronto. Right?
Wow.
So up in Chicago, the base is called, there's a base up there, Great Lakes, Illinois. That's where they have boot camp, recruit training. They also have a naval training center up there. And when I started teaching in 94, I got up there in April of 94 and you had to get tickets, you had to go into drawings. Well, in the drawing, I won tickets to Game 7, and I went and bought them, and I was actually afraid I wasn't going to get to go, but they pushed it to Game 7, and I went. They lost 1-0, and I was happy. I actually wore a Blues jersey. I wore a Blues jersey that night. That's the first time I ever heard them cheering. I'd heard it in St. Louis, but I never really heard it during the anthem. And I didn't know how to feel about it. I mean, I understand that different teams do different things, and I understand it's their way of, I don't look at the anthem the same as most people, right? Yeah. I don't look at the flag as the same way as most people. I don't see them as physical objects, right? And I know this is going to be slightly political, but for me, I see the anthem and the flag as representations of the Constitution.
Yeah,
right? That's what they are. They're nothing more than reputations or representations of that document. When I took the oath of office, or oath of enlistment, listen to me, oath of enlistment. It says, right, that I will protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It doesn't say anything in that about the flag, about the anthem. Now, we do stand at attention and salute the flag during the anthem, but it's because they represent Constitution. One of the things in the Constitution was freedom of assembly and freedom of to protest. Right? Freedom of assembly was to protest. Burning of the flag, kneeling during the national anthem, anything like that, in my eyes, is a protest. Is protected, and I spent 20 years protecting. For me, that is what I stand up for, is what the Constitution stands for. So when someone cheers during the national anthem or kneels during, I actually take pride in that now, because I serve to give them the right to do that. I have been in communist countries. I have been in a country where we were followed everywhere we went. I was in Yugoslavia in 1989. Right? In 1989. When we got there, we had to go out in groups of 4. We got to the gate that we had a gated pier. We got to the gate and went out the gate. We had to write our names down and wait, and then they would go in, and then 4 soldiers carrying weapons came out, followed us everywhere we went.
Oh wow, that's intense.
Yeah, it is, and it wasn't for us. It was because they didn't want the locals talking to us more than, it was very controlled. I've been to Russia after Glasnost and Postroka, and it was still felt very controlled. right? I don't want to live in a country where if you say something bad about the government, they're going to put a bullet in your head.
No, I don't want to
want
live
to
in a
be
country
able to
like that.
protest. Say again?
I wouldn't want to live in a country like that either.
I want the ability to protest. That's why, and I know I don't get political on the show, but we kind of rolled into that. But that's why I don't have an issue with when you sing the anthem in St. Louis, home of the blues. I don't have an issue with that. The Stars yelling stars come up. The Knights, through the night. What different NHL fan bases do with I don't have an issue with it. Because to me, exactly what I protected. Right? And I bored everybody.
No, I was very informative. And I mean, I don't have the right because I haven't served our country, but it was very interesting to find out your perspective.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. And a lot of, I have an issue. Where I have the biggest issue is the majority of the people that complain about it never served. Never served. And absolutely, actually, I think someone just took one of their thumbs away from us. I'm in trouble.
No, you were at one the entire time.
Say again? Oh, it's been at one? Okay. Those are the ones that really upset me because they don't understand oath of enlistment. Go back and read my Warriors piece. I put it in there, right? It's really interesting when you think about it. And for me, what I think about, you have to, when you serve, when you go in, when you sign that, when you first do that oath of enlistment, you have no clue what you're doing. Right? Well, is it okay if I talk about this for a few minutes?
Oh, absolutely.
Right? When you first serve, when you first sign those papers and you join the military, you don't know what you're doing. You have no clue what you're getting into. That first day at boot camp, when all that comes down, you don't know it. While I was at boot camp, it wasn't when the Stark was hit. It was when the Roberts. While I was at boot camp, the Samuel B. Roberts hit the mine. And also, that was I went to boot camp before the Stark. I was originally assigned to the Stark.
Oh wow!
My boot camp date got pushed 2 months. Now I would have still missed the hit. I would have still missed the hit, but my boot camp date got pushed. So when my boot camp date got pushed, my original assignment went away because my job went away.
Yeah.
Right. So while I was there, we made an attack on some oil rigs and some missile sites. They walk in. Our RCCs walked in with the TV, plugged it in, and showed us the news. Right, this was in October of '87. Right, I went to boot camp September 21st, 1987. So this was in October of '87. It was right during the Cardinals' run there. Way to go, Kraken! Thanks, Chris. But it wasn't until 1990. Well, when I went on my first deployment in 88, 89 in the Mediterranean that I really understood what the Cold War was. Right? Trust me, I understood what the Cold War was. We would be at sea, and there would be 4 trawlers. You have to understand, a cruiser is about 500 and almost 600 foot long, right? Pretty big size ship. A trawler is maybe 85 feet. So 5 of them, there would be 4 or 5 of them, and they were covered with the antennas.
Oh, wow.
They were spy ships, right? The Russian trawlers, they were trying to pick up our signal intelligence. And they'd be within a mile or 2 miles of us, right? The first ship I was on, the USS Yorktown, if you look it up, you can find the video. was actually rammed by a Russian ship in the Black Sea before I got to it.
Oh, wow.
Right? The Cold War was real. I'm telling you, I was there at the end of it. The Cold War was real. And then when I go to the Gulf War and you spend all that time in a minefield, right? And I still have issues with being in that minefield. Wow, Shockley says I went in exactly 10 years later. Wow. You and Shockley, I hope I didn't upset you with my views towards the flag and the anthem and that. I just, it's my view, and I want to leave it at that. I hope you're okay, bud. But in 90, and during the Gulf War, I'm telling you, there was, every day that we were there when we were firing missiles, and yes, my ship fired missiles, and did other things. We picked up bodies and stuff like that. Every single day, I wondered whether or not we were going to make it to the next. And that weighs on you, and it makes you understand what you're out there for. And and to me, I was out there for the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, what those amendments, what that Bill of Rights, what those amendments stand for. That's what I was out there for. That's why I get. If you want to know why I get so upset about the Blues not letting me have access, freedom of the press. I spent 20 years of my life defending that, and here is an organization that decides, no, we're not going to give it to you.
I can see where that would infuriate you.
That pisses me off. That absolutely pisses me off. Right? That you're going to sit there and say, no, you're not real press. You know what? Every single newspaper that started out small. Right? They didn't just become a huge ass newspaper. Right? The Post-Dispatch has been around hundreds and hundreds of years, or been around over 100 years, and it started out as a very small newspaper. Right? Joseph Pulitzer did not walk into St. Louis one day and go, oh, I'm going to hire 100 employees and make this a biggest newspaper. No, he didn't. He started off with like 10 employees. Right? Started off with a week. I don't think he was a daily. I think he started off with a weekly in St. Louis. Right?
Yeah.
So it's got all of that. So yes, for me, the First Amendment, all of the amendments are very important to me, right? And my views, I'll admit, I'm not a conservative. I don't have conservative views. I'm more of a moderate, but I do believe in the Second Amendment right. But I also believe that you can lose that right. And that the purpose of the Second Amendment, most people don't understand this, has nothing to do with hunting. The purpose of the Second Amendment was so the government would always be afraid of the people. That's the purpose of the Second Amendment. That's why I stand behind it. Right? Well, that's enough of that soapbox. I didn't mean to get political, Ashley. I'm sorry.
You're totally fine, man. I mean, sometimes you got to let it out, and I really was entertained with your story.
Well, I'm glad that you were. Nobody else was. Oh, no one watches the show anyways. No one will pick up. But hey, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Are you ready for tomorrow morning's game?
Absolutely.
I know it's going to be, it could be hard to watch, but I also think it could be very, very exciting. I think that we could see something that we haven't seen in a long time. I think that you're going to see, Shifley just got a hat trick. You're going to see, I think you're going to see a team really come together and build on something. If Tampa gets, or Florida gets down 3-0, 4-1 St. Louis, they're not coming back and scoring 7.
No, they sure aren't.
They're not coming back, and I actually have seen that. Okay, Ashley, I think that was enough. Went over our time, but had fun. Thank you so much. Sorry about the soapbox, and we'll catch you. Let mine or a rapper's life for me. I did, and it was informative. Well, I appreciate that, E. I appreciate that. Thanks, Shockley. Thanks, E. Thanks, everyone. Lambert, Chris, Ashley. We'll see you guys all tomorrow morning. My time 0730, almost 0:30 for you military types. 0730. It'll be 11 up on mines and C4. No, Chris, I know what that's like, man. I get it. I get it. Trust me, bud. I get it. Okay, guys, we will see you tomorrow morning for the Blues versus the Florida Panthers. Aloha, mahalo, and
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.